I'm Melissa Khan with our Friday, July 24th edition of News in Depth. Thank you for joining us. We begin tonight's newscast by telling you that GCOM's CEO charged and released on bail. More in this report.
GCOM's CEO Keith Lowenfield was today read 3 indictable charges, which were filed privately against him by members of 2 political parties, Daniel Kanai of the New Movement and Desmond Morion of the People's Progressive Party Civic. When the matter was called today before Magistrate Faith Magusti, Lowenfield was charged with 2 counts of conspiracy to commit a felony and misconduct in public office. He was granted bail in the sum of $150,000 on each of the charges and released from custody. Shortly after he was released on bail, Lowenfield was greeted with cheers by scores of persons who stood outside of the Georgetown Magistrates Court. Lowenfield was represented by a battery of lawyers led by senior counsel Neil Boston, and which included Nigel Hughes. Hughes told members of the media that Glenn Hanuman, who is representing the men, while in the court, made a series of what he considered political statements.
Suggesting that somehow or the other Mr. Lowenfield was going to remove official documents from GCOM, to which we took strenuous objections. One of the concerns that we had in the court, that we repeatedly expressed to the court, was the fact that we did not want the court to become a forum for a political battle, and there were sufficiently senior lawyers who were present to keep this within the confines of the law. They continued to persist in the political statements they were making. The magistrate eventually granted Mr. Lowenfield bail in the sum of $150,000 on each offense. After bail had been granted, Mr. Hanuman indicated that he had 800 statements to take from various witnesses. We, of course, naturally had an objection to that because we thought that if he had taken the time to bring the charges, he would be ready and prepared to start. He asked for an adjournment that was a month away. The court, however, granted an adjournment to mid-August for him to produce whatever statements that he has. It is evident to us at this point in time, 1, that they are not ready. 2, if they have the concerns they say they have, even though not objecting to bail, that those concerns should have been raised with the Guyana Police Force and any appropriate law enforcement agency. Our real concern is that they're attempting to take a court of law and make it into a political circus. We will continue to abide by the precincts of the law. We will come back here in the middle of August, in which case we continue our defense of Mr. Lowenfield. The point I want to make, Mr. Hanuman, literally 2 minutes before the court was convened, had a very casual professional discussion with myself and Mr. Boston, where he indicated that he wanted to call Mr. Boston as a witness for the prosecution. He then went into the court and indicated to the court, after Mr. Boston had entered an appearance as lead of the team, that he was objecting to Mr. Boston because he intended to call him as a witness. Naturally, we had very strenuous objections to this because normally what we would do is you would have statements from your witnesses long in advance. You would have at least have the courtesy of contacting him beforehand. And I think the ploy was disclosed for what it was. He was attempting to get Mr. Boston off of the case. He was attempting to gain some level of mileage, I believe, in your area of business, the media, by suggesting that he was going to call Mr. Boston. Mr. Boston got up, defended himself, and maybe Mr. Hanuman has forgotten that the privilege that Mr. Lowenfield enjoys as a client of Mr. Boston is his. And if Mr. Lowenfield does not release Mr. Boston, there's no way he can possibly become a witness for the state.
Senior counsel Neil Boston said at one time he felt that he was at a political rally in the court.
Mr. Hanuman made a political speech all the time. I thought he was at Babujan or he was at Luziknan, because if you're going to apply to the court, you're saying you have no objection to bail, and at the same time you're saying bail should be in a massive amount because Mr. Lowenfield has property at Wales on the West Bank, he has more than one houses. That's not how it is done. The whole issue of bail is to ensure that the accused returns to court to stand his trial, but not what Mr. Lowenfield made all kind of outrageous allegations based on hearsay that Mr. Lowenfield hid from the police. When the police went, they had to make false representation to get the matter served on Mr. Lowenfield. He has said nothing. When I made an application for pretrial disclosure, Mr. Hanneman is not in a position to make any pretrial disclosure. All he says, he has about 800 witnesses to call.
The matter will continue in August. The charges were filed against Lowenfield after he submitted his report on the March 2nd general and regional election results with only valid votes, which shows the APNU AFC winning the elections by 1 seat. That report did not sit well with many in political circles after some 115,000 votes were deemed invalid because of the lack of their statutory documents.
More news after this break.
Wouldn't it be nice if we didn't have so much waste to dispose of in the landfill? Well, composting can help us reduce the waste we dispose of by turning our organic waste into compost, which can be used to improve the quality of our soil.
Composting is very simple and convenient.
You can compost using organic waste such as vegetable skins,
or fallen leaves and cut grass and put this in a composting bin or pile.
Compost can help your garden grow healthy plants while reducing your volume of waste. It's a really good way to keep our communities clean and healthy.
So, let's all start composting our waste.
Find out how easy it is. Call us on 226-2189 or 227-8429 or visit our website moc.gov.gy. A message from the Ministry of Communities in collaboration with the Inter-American Development Bank.
Anyone who believes he or she was exposed to coronavirus COVID-19 must stay at home and not mix with other family members. This quarantine is to help stop the spread of the virus at home and in our communities. While at home for 14 days or 2 weeks, here are some valuable tips you must follow. First, get a separate room which family members will not be allowed to enter during those 14 days of quarantine. Ensure this room allows you to get lots of fresh air. Second, if you must meet family members, stay at least 1 meter or 3 feet away from them. Third, when it comes to personal hygiene, other members of the household should use a separate bathroom. If you must share a bathroom, ensure you always clean the taps, doorknobs, and all utensils with soap and running water. Fourth, limit the number of visitors to your home. Anyone in quarantine must not meet and greet any visitor. Fifth, practice frequent hand washing with soap and running water. Wash your hands for at least 20 seconds every time. If there are no soap and running water, use an alcohol-based hand sanitizer with at least 75% alcohol. Sixth, always avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth with unwashed hands. Seventh, after using face masks or gloves, always throw them away. Put them in bins with covers. Remember also to always use separate plates, drinking glasses, cups, and other eating utensils, towels, bedding, and other items for the family member who is in quarantine. And don't forget to use detergents every time to wash all utensils, bed linen, and clothes used by the person in quarantine. Please remember to use the thermometer, not the back of your hands, to monitor the body temperature of the quarantined family member. Monitor them 2 times every day. Be sure to write down the temperature. If he or she develops a fever or temperature above 37.5 degrees Celsius or 99.5 degrees Fahrenheit, cough or has difficulty breathing, sore throat, body aches and pain, immediately call the COVID-19 hotline by dialing 180 or 181. Protect yourself and others. Play your part in helping to reduce the risk of contracting or spreading COVID-19. This is a message from the Ministry of Public Health in collaboration with PAHO WHO. For more information, kindly visit the Ministry's website www.health.gov.gy or its Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter pages.
Shh. It's your new secret. The all-in-one weapon for perfecting imperfections and capturing flawless skin. A lot of brands forget women of color or just don't understand that we come in all shades. From caramel to ebony, there's such a range. Iman Cosmetics is for every woman and features a line of skincare products and cosmetics including 16 foundation shades, powder, concealer, lipstick, blush, eyeshadow, highlighter and BB cream. Visit us at Lot 75 Swamp Section, Reusable Town. That's behind the market. Or call 337-4422 or 688-9249. Shh.
Family of a man who reportedly drowned in Region 7 suspects foul play. Let's take a look. Family members of Roger Alert, the young man who reportedly drowned in the Kuburi River, are heartbroken by his sudden demise. Speaking to this newscast from their Brighton, Curtin Berbice home, his sister Rochelle Alert said Roger left their home 3 weeks ago to help his father manage his business in Region 7. It was on Wednesday that they were greeted with the heartbreaking news.
It's very hard. It's very tough for me because it's hard. Because we lost my mother like 4 years ago. Same month. It's only 2 weeks apart. So it's very hard. It's very hard. And he's the small one. And he have a 1-year-old daughter. Because my father, like when he come out to do business, there's nobody like to look over. So my father like take him so that whenever he got to come out to do business, he would just watch over the business. Well, like after the boss, he is the second one, my brother, so it's hard to believe.
The sister added that her father left the young man with a large amount of cash and warned him about leaving their apartment. However, he reportedly ventured out with some friends on a wooden boat when he met his demise.
Appears like he left, so we didn't know. So when my father go to bring out the bodies, then he know that they was in a boat and the boat, like the wave was too high or something, and the boat just turned over with them, and the two swim across and left he. So when they reach over, they said they didn't find any, they didn't get he. So that isn't the news that we get because they keep telling me that they didn't find any, but if they swim across, if it's all three of them, they should have like just looked back or, call on it. But when my father said when they find it, it's the same spot that he go down, it's the same spot he is. We don't know, honestly, we don't know. Because to me, it looked like it could be a murder, but we don't know. But just that, they're claiming that they didn't find no mark of violence, but the police, they said they have to do their part. So when we're working with the police, what decision they make. My father don't have the strength to say, but he just say that they find it. They didn't say, well, if they find the amount of money that my father leave him with. They didn't say if they find it or nothing. We didn't ask him because he's so frustrated because when they call it to give you the news, it's like they call you and tell you, oh, the boat toppled over, or they're going to call back and say, oh, is this happened? Like, they ain't giving me the right information that he need. Also, they ain't giving me the right information that we need. I can see the same spot, he go down the same spot, they find it. And they keep calling my phone and say, yes, they find it. Yes, they're searching. Yes, they're searching. Yes, they're searching. And then my father said, before I reach up, yeah, better find it. And my father was like, 2 hours and like next 2 hours he gonna reach, and before he could reach the next 2 hours they call us.
His body is still currently in Bartica awaiting a post-mortem examination. Melissa Khan, News in Depth.
Hi, my name is coronavirus disease, but you can call me COVID-19. I am a coronavirus and I can make you sick. I can cause fever and cold. I can also cause you to have difficulty breathing. I'm in Guyana and I'm traveling around the world. I'm basically on every continent. I cannot make you sick if you wash your hands with clean water and soap while you sing the happy birthday song, or you can use hand sanitizer to rub your hands while you count from 1 to 10 slowly. When should you wash your hands? Wash them after you use the toilet and before you eat a snack or a meal. Remember, my name is COVID-19 and I can make you sick. Do all you can to keep away from me. A message from the Ministry of Public Health and PAHO WHO.
This is what shopping used to be. More plastic bags than I could carry or I could use. They always end up in the bin or as unsightly litter. Then it hit me. Get just one reusable bag. Now whenever I shop, I don't use plastic bags. I always have my reusable bag. It makes shopping a lot easier and it's better for the environment.
Use one less disposable plastic bag. Make the switch to a reusable bag today. For more information, please call us on 226-2189 or 227-8429 or visit our website moc.gov.gy. A message from the Ministry of Communities in collaboration with the Inter-American Development Bank.
And before we go, 23-year-old sales rep shot dead during robbery. More in this report.
A marketing representative was shot dead by bandits in Middle Road, La Penitence this afternoon. The dead man was identified as Navindra Samaru. He was employed with JJ Phone Card Investment. There are reports that two men on a motorcycle pounced on the man after he left home and took a bag he was carrying at the time. The gunmen were under the impression that the man was carrying large sums of money, but according to the owner of the company, Putabet Waru, there was no money in the bag.
He had no cash, and what we just do, what we train them to do is that, because we have had a number of experience with robberies in Guyana, we always train them to have a little money at hand. If you collect the company money, have a little at hand to give when anybody comes, so they're going to save your life. Give them some, because when you don't give them, they're going to kill you. And I remember Ron Mansfield, one of our wholesalers, he was shot and killed right at his home in Farfit Harmony, I think about 3 years back, right? Because he fight back. And I always instructed all wholesalers, all wholesalers and all our people in all the delivery persons to make sure you have monies on hand to give to save your life. He's my employee, and I just had a call from his mother about 1:20 and say he got shot. Right, and after then I contacted the GM for the company, and he said no, this man is impossible he got shot, because it's just like 2 minutes back GM communicated with the guy, but not knowing what happened is that apparently he went home to get his food and coming out back, then they trace him through here. Yeah, he also collect monies from customers and so on, but he had no money in him. He just went to the bank, and after the bank he went GRA, and after GRA he went home to collect his food to come back.
A nearby mechanic was the first to come to the aid of the man, and he spoke with this newscast.
I see the car stop in the hole, I thought it was a puncture. So when I approach, I see slum over the steering, and then I realize he got phone and blood up, That's all I see.
You rushed to the hospital?
Yeah. That's the most he could do.
You started or anything?
No, he said a word. I surprised him, he said a word. I was so surprised he get a knock. I went right there when I take off because he just a knock. And then a couple minutes after, I see everybody haul off. I got so shocked. So dead? He said, yeah. So what?
So you don't see nobody like?
When I come out long after, I had to open up gate and everything. I didn't walk until the back, but just in nice bring me out. And when I come here now, I open the gate, I said like he puncture. Got the whole letter, right? And when I approach now for see, then I see when everybody don't come out. Everybody still lift and put in the back seat and try and care. Well, I drive it to the hospital.
His father and other relatives were at a loss after hearing the tragic news.
I was at work when I received a call from my niece that my son has been get shot in Mill Road, and he gone to the hospital. On arrival at the hospital, he was already died. So that is all I know about. Well, I ain't get no information too long what happened. But I was made to understand that he was home, collect his lunch, and heading back to his workplace. And said, well, a blue bag that normally stick with him does not here. We can see we can get that. He's not in, we can get that and so on. But we still seeking to get. The car is with the police. Yeah.
And we run down to the hospital and we couldn't get to see, and that's all we know. We know who shot him, they went wrong when the shooting happened or anything. Just that we played in with the neighbors and the people that have camera in the house could let us see a little footage so we could see the killers do.
Police investigators were on the scene tracking every clue possible to get to the bottom of the story. The lawmen were also checking the surveillance cameras in the area to ascertain the identity of the suspects.
And that has brought us to the end of our news for tonight. For these and other stories, visit our website at rdproductiongy.com or our Facebook and Instagram page at Royston Driggs Production.